The fact that a claim might be true, that is, the probability of it being true is greater than 0, does not mean that it is true. A is probable or possible, therefore A is called appeal to probability or appeal to possibility. It's possible that I'll roll a 6 if I roll a die, but that doesn't mean that I in fact will. In fact, it's probable that I won't. But again, that doesn't mean that I won't. This example shows why appeal to probability is a fallacy, because no matter what the die ends up showing, something possibly true, or even probably true, turns out to be false. This fallacy is also committed when it is assumed that because A is possible, A must be probable. It's also fallacious to say that just because something has not been shown to be impossible, it is in fact possible. The premise, A is possible, is just like any other premise. The burden of proof is not satisfied by saying, well, you can't prove it's not. This is one of the problems with the modal ontological argument for the existence of God. The argument contains the premise, it is possible for a maximally great being, i.e. God, to exist. This has not been demonstrated. This is a trap, because typically the opponent will agree that it's possible for God to exist in order to show that he is honest and open-minded. The proper response to the premise, which is also perfectly honest and consistent with having an open mind, is it? That is, I am open to the possibility that it might be possible, but this would have to be demonstrated. Possibly possible does not imply possible, because if it's only possibly possible, then there's also a chance that it's not possible. Some theists will also argue that as long as it's possible for God to exist, belief in God is justified. In other words, if something is possibly true, then it's probably true. No, sorry, it's not. That simply doesn't follow. A common argument used by UFO believers, and by that I mean people who believe that the U doesn't stand for unidentified but alien, don't ask, is that it's possible that alien civilizations know of ways to get around the laws of physics as we currently know them. Therefore, it's likely that they are able to travel here. No, we don't know that it's possible to get around the laws of physics as we currently know them, and even if we did know that, it wouldn't follow that it's likely that aliens could do so and travel here. We can't even use the reasoning that the size and age of the universe makes it likely that someone could, because unlike with the existence of life, which we know is possible since we have an example of it and thus know that the probability of it happening is not 0, we have no example of civilizations capable of faster than light travel. All kinds of science deniers rely on the idea that since science doesn't lead to absolute guarantees and allows for the possibility that any conclusion might be wrong, it follows that the current understanding of the scientific community is in fact wrong, or at least probably wrong. No, it doesn't. This is a dishonest attempt to justify dismissing conclusions based on evidence without even looking at the evidence, much less developing any kind of understanding of how science works. As a science denier, of course our old friend Winston Wu commits this fallacy when addressing the claim that miracles are impossible. Quote, history has shown that those who use the word impossible are usually proven wrong one way or another, unquote. Whether miracles are possible is entirely independent of whether other things said to be impossible have turned out to actually be so. Depending on how miracle is defined, miracles can actually be impossible by definition. Of course, whenever miracles are said to be impossible, it's such a definition that is used. For example, the manipulation of the natural world by divine or otherwise supernatural means, where the natural world is defined as the entirety of perceivable reality. Under that definition, no perceivable manipulation of it can be attributed to the supernatural. Anything that has a perceivable effect within the natural world is by definition part of the natural world, and thus not supernatural. I've never heard of anyone who says that miracles, as in wonderful things or unlikely things, or even things we currently can't explain, are impossible. Until next time, stay logical.